Hi, and welcome back. My name is Nancy Wallace Lobbs, and I am one of the founders, along with my daughter Kelsey Laka, of Money Makin Mamas. And on today's YouTube video I'm going to be talking about why a paycheck feels safe even when it's not. So many years ago, before I got into real estate investing, I always had a W-2 job. So now I'm a 1099 because I'm able to work for myself. But that took some planning, which we're going to talk about a little bit today. But really, your paycheck feels safe even when it's not, because we're talking about job security and what real financial control looks like in today's ever-changing economy. So the illusion that the paycheck feels safe is because it's familiar. It's something that you get every week or every 2 weeks. It's steady, a direct deposit to your account, or maybe you get a paper check and you go to the bank, but it's something that is a known routine that you can plan your bill paying around, plan your vacations, plan going out to eat, grocery shopping, all of that. And that's why it feels secure, because it allows you to have a roof over your head or food in your stomach. But the reality is that that comfort is not equal to stability, because the comfort that you're feeling from the routine is not from you. It's someone else has control of that, namely your employer. It seems like it's safe because it feels so familiar. I know I get paid on the 1st and the 15th, or I get a check every week. So because it is familiar to us as far as the routine, it feels safe. Like we can count on, oh, I'm going to have money to go grocery shopping, or, to take my dog to the vet. And the routine seems like it gives us control, but in reality, the control is coming from the employer, not from you. And it's predictable. It's predictable income as long as it continues, but it doesn't mean that you're protected. So the gap between what feels like comfort and the actual control is wider than you can realize. So, but what is the real risk of depending on a paycheck? Well, number one, if that's the only source of income that you have, and if that should go away, what impact will that have on your life? Will you still be able to pay all of your bills? Will you still be able to continue renting, or, pay your rent or pay your mortgage? What would happen if you lost that single source of income? And maybe you're a dual income household, but you have relied on both parties' income to meet your bills and have savings and that kind of thing. So what does it mean if that should go away? And that means that you have really no control over the hours that you work. If the employer, maybe depending on where you work at, maybe you have to work weekends, maybe you have to work nights, maybe you're in healthcare and you have to work 12-hour shifts. You are not in control of the hours that you work. It's dictated by your employer. And let's talk about raises. I know when I was in the corporate world and working jobs, you could bank on maybe a raise annually, once a year. And maybe that raise, is like 2%, but the cost of living went up 6%. So, and who is really dictating how much raise you get? Well, it's all dependent on how much money the company makes and also on the timing. So if a company is struggling to even keep their doors open, then there's probably not going to be a raise, right? And their timing is going to be based on their profitability. So in reality, you have no control even over your job security. So you're vulnerable to layoffs. If you've been around enough times, I've been laid off, my husband's been laid off. It's not a fun feeling when you have to go back out there and start looking for another job. So if you have created some kind of income for yourself, then you never have to worry about that, right? If they go through a restructure, I mean, how many people watching this has known someone that has been right-sided, down-sided, when companies make decisions that they no longer, they're no longer as profitable, they're not making as much money. So what happens is the higher up in an organization decide, you know what, we don't need that position, or we don't need as many positions. And then that's all dependent on the market shift. So the risk of you depending on that paycheck is that you will risk losing your ability to have the familiar routine that you've thought that you had. So when your entire financial life depends on one decision maker, which in this case, if you're working for someone else, is not you, you're not secure. What you are is exposed. Now, but that can change because you can have it shift. So when you have control over your own financial, how you're going to make money, then your anxiety will decrease when you become your own designer authority, meaning that you're building income on your own terms. So for me, it was real estate investing. That's how I took charge of my own, and I'm not going to say financial freedom, but how I took control over my own security, my own familiar routine. So I built income, over time on my terms. And then through real estate investing, I'm able to have multiple income streams, whether that's my Airbnb or my long-term rentals or, passively investing in other investment, like multifamily or something like that. Predictable systems. So I know that if I have a predictable system that's going to make me money through real estate investing, then that decreases my anxiety about having money, about having enough money to pay my bills, about having money to go to the grocery store. So real estate investing business builds income that is designed. You can design it based on where you're at in your life, and it's not assigned, meaning an employer is assigning your income based on their profitability. So, but going from, the rat race, your job, you don't want to take a reckless leap. I don't want you to just quit your job and go, I'm going to be a real estate investor. That's not what I'm talking about. So you have to look at where you're at, your current paycheck, your full-time role, and then you're going to have what we call a transition phase. If you're interested in real estate investing, then we actually work with you to say, okay, where are you at in your particular phase, right? Your particular phase of transitioning. That we want to build something alongside you to design where your authority is going to lay, and you're going to make disciplined decisions, not reckless leaps. Replacement income, we're going to talk about how much replacement income do you need, when do you need it, so what kind of real estate revenue. There's all kinds of ways to make money in real estate investing. So that's one of the things that we'll look at. How fast do you need to make money? And then what is some long-term goals that you have? And some financial independence comes from looking at your own finances and seeing how you can leverage to get into real estate investing. And then full freedom only comes when you own your own time, that you are basically living life on your own terms, that you make as much money as you want or as much money as you don't want. So leaving the rat race is a transition. It's not a jump. The paycheck replacement happens gradually through strategic, what we call sequencing. So we look at where are you at so that you can move forward by still having a routine, the paycheck, and you transition out of relying on the paycheck to then going ahead and moving into real estate investing. I mean, some people love their job. They just want to have more income. So how do you do that? And that's kind of what we're talking about with the strategic sequencing. So the one thing that I can tell you is that clarity beats complexity. Okay, now what do I even mean by that? Well, first of all, you just have to be clear about the type of real estate investing that you want to do. So there is so much information. I have, tons of videos out there. Other people have tons of videos out there. There's just a lot of options, but you know what? Options usually equate to just becoming paralyzed, and we make no decision. We take no action. So we have endless strategies, and it just drains our energy, when really, if you just focused on one strategy, you would be able to transition much faster than just trying to have a bunch of different strategies, right? And then you come to information overload, which then equates to inaction, because well, let me just read one more book. Let me watch one more video. Let me go to one more networking group. But then what does that do? That just prevents you from taking action. So you're continually stuck in inaction. You get confused about what you should start with. It just keeps you stuck because you're like, oh, well, maybe I should try that. Or, oh, maybe I should try this. Or, oh, maybe I should do this. When in reality, you have so much information that it's keeping you paralyzed. So you need one clear path to give you momentum. And that's where, working with us, we talk about what is that path for you. The path that's for you is not going to be for your neighbor or for me, or, each person has their own path that they can take. And that is what gets them momentum so that they can take action. So you have to be able to work within a proven framework that removes all the noise. It compresses the thinking, so you're not thinking about all these different strategies and what should I do and how do I turn here. And it then allows you to create forward motion so that you can enter what we call the transition phase, where you're leaving the rat race into, actually building some income through real estate investing. So you have to have that time in your what we call the decision moment. So you already know, your job isn't forever. Now, maybe you're fortunate and you have a job that you want to be in forever. A lot of people, when they first start out in their 20s and 30s, that's not the same job that they have in their 40s and 50s. If you're in your 40s and 50s, there's a lot of companies that no longer, you don't really hear about, employees that have been around for 20, 30, 40 years. Those days are kind of going in with AI. It's more and more, right? So what you need is you have to have a clear path forward. Okay, so even if I love my job, is it realistic to think that you will be there in 10, 15, 20 years? So if you start taking actions today to kind of build up that additional income stream, remember we talked about you don't want to just be locked into one income stream, because you want to be able to have choices down the road. So what is the solution? Real estate investing. It replaces your paycheck safely if you do it correctly. You have to have a path. You just can't, like I said, you don't want to just quit your job. So you have to stop researching and you have to start moving forward with a proven system. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is watch our free Millionaire Masterclass. So you can click it here. That's a scan that goes right to it. And we're going to talk to you. It's less than 10 minutes long. And I'm going to talk to you about the realistic path about how real estate investing works for you. That's where your next chapter starts. If you're going to watch one more video, watch that one. And then if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. But register for the masterclass. I'm also going to put the link in the description. And then just stay tuned. Continue to follow us. Subscribe to our channel, where we try to put out content that really resonates with our listeners. And if you have any questions, you can always email me at nancy@moneymakinmamas.com. And that Makin is MAKIN mamas, MAMA. All right. So have a great day. Thank you so much for listening in on the Paycheck. And if this is where you feel you are and you need someone to help you move to transition out of the rat race, then give us a call. Talk to you soon. Thanks again.